do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indie Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show on a beautiful Friday afternoon. Almost said morning. It feels like the morning. I slept in a little bit today. We got a great show lined up for you. Zack Pereles joins the show coming up here in about 20 minutes or so. He wrote an article the other day over on CBSSports.com talking about additions that still need to be had for all of these different NFL teams. So we're going to talk a little bit of Colts and what they could still potentially do on the free agent market. Zack Gray is going to join the show at 1 o'clock to tell you how to gamble this weekend. And then at 1:40, we're going to put a bow, for now, on the Colts NFL draft with Jake Arthur from Locked On Colts. So a lot to get to, a lot of good, fun, exciting guests. Last night, went to a comedy show, had a really good time. Jay Morgan, Chris went as well. I think Chris had a nice time, right?
Yeah, man, it's a good show.
It was a good show. It found it very entertaining, and ultimately, that's really all that I want, you know? So, great time. All right. Something happened yesterday, and it was the least surprising thing probably ever. There are contracts in the NBA where, and in the NFL, in both, where there's a player option or a team option on the end, and about 2 years into the contract, you already know exactly what's going to happen. The news broke yesterday that, shockingly, the Indianapolis Colts will not be picking up Anthony Richardson's fifth-year option, setting him up to be a free agent in March. Not surprising at all. We knew this was going to happen 2 years ago. As soon as they called Daniel Jones, the chances of that fifth-year option getting picked up vanished, went out the window, right? And all that was confirmed, of course, when he lost the starting job to Daniel Jones, which I'm not too sure that he ever really had any sort of a chance at winning. And so it's not surprising at all. And the Colts are back to square one, continuing to look for a long-term solution at the quarterback position. I know people think it's going to be Daniel Jones, all that good stuff. It's not. If he was the long-term solution, then they wouldn't have given him a 2-year deal. They would have offered him a 4-year deal or a 5-year deal or something like that. And ultimately, that is not what happened. So Colts still looking for a quarterback under Chris Ballard. What a surprise. And it's really cost the Colts in a lot of ways. And, you know, we went through it earlier in the week. Daniel Jones is at best the 12th best quarterback in the AFC. That's really it. So I was working through it last night, working through different rosters and different teams and different situations, trying to figure out, like, which teams are the Colts definitely better than, which teams are the Colts probably better than, which teams could the Colts, like, maybe be better than, and who are the teams that there's absolutely no way possible, outside of injuries, that the Colts are better than. Because we're at a point now in the offseason where everybody's roster is basically solidified. You know, we've got rookie training camp coming up. We've got real training camp and OTAs and those things right around the corner as well. And as of right now, I think there's really only 4 teams that the Colts are absolutely better than. The Miami Dolphins, the New York Jets, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Arizona Cardinals. Those are the only teams that I would be shocked by if they were better than the Colts next year. No matter what happens, barring, of course, crazy injuries, I think that the Colts will be better than all those teams. They all have lesser quarterbacks than the Colts do. You know, the Dolphins are running out Malik Willis. The Jets are playing Geno Smith. The Cardinals may have to play they're going to play either Jacoby Brissett or Carson Beck. Not great options either way. But all 3 of those teams tore their rosters down to the studs as well. They're all clearly rebuilding. The Colts have more good players than those teams. Like, the Cardinals are going to be bad on both sides of the football again. That'll be their down. Or excuse me, the Falcons will be bad defensively again. That'll be their downfall. I also don't believe in Tua or Indiana Hoosier legend Michael Penix more than I believe in Daniel Jones. So there's that. And this is the frustrating thing about the Colts we keep coming back to this, it feels like every year under Ballard. Their roster outside of quarterback isn't bad. Like the offensive line's good. They improved the defense in the draft. The weapons are pretty decent. Edge is a problem, but, maybe Leatu Latu develops. Leatu Latu, fun fact, has more sacks than any other player in his draft class. So I guess that's a win. Maybe. I don't know. Jalen Tuimoloau's second-round pick, maybe he figures it out in year 2. The issue is Daniel Jones isn't good enough to guarantee you wins. And this continues to be the issue under Chris Ballard, whether it's Carson Wentz or Matt Ryan or Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. Just keep working through the laundry list of quarterbacks that have taken snaps for the Indianapolis Colts. That continues to be the issue for them. And look, maybe Daniel Jones just needed to have his Achilles repaired to become the quarterback that the Colts have been dying for a long time. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that's not the case. But the roster, I don't think, is necessarily bad. The quarterback position just isn't good enough. Like if they had, Justin Herbert, probably like the 7th best quarterback in the NFL, kind of somewhere around there, I think everyone would like the Colts a lot more. If they had C.J. Stroud, I think everyone would like the Colts a lot more. We would be talking about them like they're a playoff team. Obviously, if they had, one of the great ones like Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or Matthew Stafford, the reigning MVP, or of course Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL, or Josh Allen, then people would like the Colts a lot more. If they had a guy like Jared Goff, who's hovering around the 10th best quarterback in the NFL, then this Colts team is probably good enough to make the playoffs. The issue is they don't have any of those guys. They have Daniel Jones. And, look, Daniel Jones isn't terrible. I don't want this to be me just crapping on Daniel Jones every day for the next, several months until the season starts. Because there are teams that, like this Colts team's probably going to go 8-9 or 9-8 again. And there's a list of teams that the Colts might be better than. Like they might be better than the Steelers, the Jaguars, the Commanders. Or excuse me. These are a list of teams that the Colts are probably better than. I skipped a section there. Like they're probably better than the Raiders and the Giants and the Browns and the Titans and the Panthers. Part of the problem with this is all of these teams, it's really more about what they do compared to what the Colts do. Right? Like if Jackson Dart and Fernando Mendoza are great players, right? This year, Jackson Dart in year 2, Mendoza, obviously the number 1 overall pick, then the Raiders and Giants are probably going to be better than the Colts. Same goes for Cam Ward. If he has a year 2 leap, that's nice. If Bryce Young grows 3 inches all of a sudden and develops a better arm, then, maybe Carolina's better than the Colts. And then the Browns, the Browns are in a very similar spot compared to the Colts. The Browns have a better defense. They've got some decent weapons. Their issue's quarterback. They're looking at either, Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders to be their starting quarterback. That's their issue. Right? The Titans hired a new head coach in Robert Saleh. He's probably going to be better than Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan was awful during his time in Tennessee. But ultimately, if a lot of those quarterbacks hit, then it's possible that, the Colts end up with a top 10 pick going to New York. If Cam Ward ends up being a stud, Colts, decent chance that they wind up at the bottom of the division. The only thing with the Colts that I really think has an opportunity to elevate them is if their edge rushers improve. Because if Leatu Latu comes back as a guy who, picks up 11 sacks in a year, if Jalen Tuimoloau comes back as a guy who you can really trust to get after the quarterback on third down, then I think that their defense is going to reach a pretty high level. And, I do trust in Shane Steichen to figure out a way to score points. So, he did it with frickin' Gardner Minshew. And then there's a list of teams that the Colts might be better than. Like, they might be better than Pittsburgh. We'll see what ends up happening with Aaron Rodgers. They might be better than Jacksonville. I know the Jags were really good last year, but, Trevor Lawrence doesn't really seem to put 2 good years in a row together. They lose ETN, who was a really important part of their offense. They didn't have a very good draft. You have the Commanders in here as well, the Cowboys, the Bears, and the Packers, and the Vikings, Lions, and the Buccaneers. And this is going to have to do with injuries and guys just not living up to expectations. Like, I think all of these teams are probably going to be better than Indy. The difference between these teams and the Colts is the Colts have is they have a better quarterback, or they have an incomplete roster, like the Colts, but they have less holes. Aaron Rodgers probably going to be better than Daniel Jones this year, and they still have a lot of studs on defense between Hayward and Watt. Outside of Jaden Daniels, when you look at the Commanders, like, he's going to elevate that team to a point where they're just better than Indy. The Lions had their issues with their offensive line last year, but if they get that fixed, they drafted one in the first round this year, then they'll probably be better than Indy, and so on. The Bears led the NFL in takeaways last year. That's not going to happen again this year. How does their defense play without all those turnovers? Do we see them regress? And then there's, of course, a list of teams that there's no way that the Colts are better than. The Bills, Patriots, Ravens, Bengals, Texans, Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, Eagles, Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers. That is a long list of teams that there's absolutely no way that the Colts are better than. All those teams either have significantly better rosters or they have a significantly better quarterback than the Colts do. And that's ultimately how you win in the NFL. If you have a Daniel Jones level quarterback, you need a Seattle Seahawks level roster. Or you can just be the Bills and have Josh Allen and have a decent at best roster, but you have Josh Allen. So you're okay. When I look at this season for the Colts, it's just going to be like every other one. That's just where I continue to come back to. Before training camp, maybe everyone in the NFL gets hurt except for the Colts, and they end up finding a way to survive because of that. Highly unlikely, but I guess it's possible. As we get ready for the season and for training camp and all those things, I don't know. I guess I'm just running out of ways to feel good about this Colts team. They're not good enough at quarterback. The pass rush is going to be questionable, even though I do like everything else on defense. The offensive line is going to be as good as normal, top 10-ish, and that'll kind of be it. So here we are, year 10 of Chris Ballard, saying the same thing we've been saying pretty much the entire time that he's been here. The Colts aren't good enough at quarterback, and Chris Ballard needs to go. It's really that simple. So, oh, man. Aren't you just so excited for the Colts season? Otter Creek chiming in saying that the Titans will be better than Indy this year. It's a real possible thing. Like, the Colts finishing last in the AFC South is 1,000% on the board. A lot of that is going to have to do with Cam Ward. How good is he? Again, I think Robert Saleh is an excellent head coach. I just thought that he caught a really tough deal in New York. If he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers coming off of an Achilles, like, they're probably better and all those things. Also, side note here, I usually don't care about these things. The new Titans uniforms look dope. They look so freaking cool. Chris, have you seen them?
I haven't seen them yet, but I've heard good things.
They're sick looking.
I'm going to have to look it up.
Yeah, do it now. They look incredible. The helmets are sick. So, Colts probably looking from the bottom up at the rest of the AFC South this year. But it's weird because, like, they could finish at the bottom and go 7-10. I'm so excited for over-unders to come out on the season. I'm fascinated by where they're going to have the Colts. Obviously, we need to see their schedule as well. But it's just another year where, we're waiting on the schedule. Because if the Colts have a favorable schedule, then the playoffs are going to be within their reach. If they don't have a favorable schedule, then good luck, And finishing in third place again, they're going to have a third place schedule. That bodes well for them. But ultimately, I don't know. I'm just not really excited about the season. It's another year of that where, I think people are decently excited for the Fever because Caitlin Clark's back. I think everyone is looking forward to watching the Pacers play next year. Everyone's excited for Indiana football. No one cares about Purdue football. Sorry. I think people are excited about Purdue basketball next year, though, with all their retention. I think people see the Indiana basketball transfer portal recruiting, and people are excited about that. Seems like everything in this state has momentum behind it, except for the Indianapolis Colts. We're all just sitting around waiting to see the exact same thing we've seen for the last 10 years. More mediocrity. And, we're going to cover all of it right here. We're going to have a fun time doing it. But I still think that at the end of the year, we're going to come back to the same conclusion that we've been at for the last 4 years. Chris Ballard needs to go. Now, he's going to have an opportunity to make the roster better. My guy, Zach Pereles of CBS Sports, put out an article on every team's biggest need since the draft is now over. And he's going to join the show in 3 minutes to tell you what the Colts need.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Yeah. What's going on? Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching on X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM, no matter how you were tuning in, it is greatly appreciated. And you picked a great time to tune in because the one and only Zach Pereles, a real staple of this show, he joins now with all of his books and all that good stuff. Zach, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Dude, I'm rocking and rolling, man. We got the draft is done. My guy Jokic lost last night. It was brutal. Playoffs are in full swing. There's a lot going on, so I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Let's start with the draft, though. What'd you think? Picks you liked, picks you hated? Go ahead.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I tried to stress coming out of the draft was the idea that the draft starts at 2 because we knew that Fernando Mendoza was 1 was one of the things that I like the least. I think that we shouldn't just move on just because we know the guy's going to be the pick. I think the Raiders have done a really good job this offseason surrounding him with a good amount of talent. Tyler Linderbaum is going to be so helpful for Fernando Mendoza. Kirk Cousins is going to be so helpful for Fernando Mendoza. And I think that we should talk more about the first overall pick. I mean, I think that that's just like, that is where the draft starts. That is the number one guy. He won the Heisman. He won the national championship. Like, this is a quarterback worthy of going number 1. I think that he can be, as his career progresses, I think that he can become a top 10 quarterback, probably at the bottom range of that top 10. But that means that you'll get a couple of years where he's the 8th best quarterback in the NFL and a couple of years where he's maybe the 12th or the 14th. So really just everything the Raiders have done this offseason, I've been really impressed. I love that they came up and drafted Jermod McCoy in the 4th round. That was obviously the tale of day 2, and then where would he go on day 3? And Jermod McCoy, he was a lot of people's cornerback 1. So the fact that you could get him at pick 101 is really fun. And, the upside is immense. The downside is he might never be healthy enough to play. But that's a swing that you take when you're in the Raiders position and on day 3. So they added some good stuff throughout the 3 days. But Fernando Mendoza, it just seems like we moved off of him so quickly as soon as we knew the Raiders were going to be 1 and he was going to be the pick. So I think I really like giving the Raiders some props. It just feels like they will be a normal organization with some hope this year.
Yeah, if Mendoza can play immediately, and if Clint Kubiak's a good head coach, they're going to be really good really quickly. Like you said, all of the additions that they made in free agency as well with Linderbaum, they added some defensively. They brought over Kwity Paye, which I think a lot of Colts fans are happy about, even though now the Colts kind of have an issue at edge rusher. So yeah, the Colts thing is interesting. I liked their draft. I loved the CJ Allen pick, AJ Halsey as well in round 3. What'd you make of their draft?
Yeah, with limited resources, I thought they did a really good job. I was a little surprised that no wide receiver until the 7th round, but I also thought that Burks falling to the 7th round was a bit of a surprise as well. They still need edge rush help. You can find those guys up until a week into training camp. Usually a guy like Jadeveon Clowney or Joey Bosa, like these guys have played. They're going to be able to come in and play. They're not going to sign for a bit in all likelihood, but there are quality guys there. I still would like to see them add another wide receiver. We know Josh Downs, who I absolutely love, but he has had some injury issues. Then you're really looking at Alec Pierce, who is a guy who I also really like in his role, but you want one of those kind of more steady guys. I think every team, I wrote about teams' biggest needs coming out of the draft. And for every team that needs a wide receiver, just go get Juwan Jennings. He's so good. He's so reliable. He's physical. He blocks great, which everybody loves to talk about the receiving numbers for players. He's so much more valuable than that. I think every team should be lining up for Juwan Jennings. I'm surprised he didn't sign in that first or second wave, and now here we are. There's going to be a lot of competition for him.
Joined by Zach Pereles of CBS Sports. He's got a great article up on CBSSports.com right now, kind of highlighting all the different positional needs for everybody. And like you said, you wrote down the Colts 4 wide receiver in the 4th round. I know Colts fans around here were a little upset that they took Jalen Farmer, big offensive guard out of Kentucky, over Elijah Surratt. Did that surprise you? Because I know people around here at least had mocked Surratt to the Colts, and obviously they pass on him, and he ends up in Baltimore. What'd you make of that decision?
I actually really liked the Colts draft. So it's really easy to pick at any little guy and say who was still on the board, who wasn't still on the board. And the thing that I've learned the most is that team draft boards vary so significantly. So I didn't really have a problem with that necessarily. I do think that it tends to make me think that there's another wide receiver move coming. But yeah, guys have different grades on different guys, different needs that they may perceive. I thought that Farmer is actually a solid pick, and I get that it's not obviously Elijah Surratt going and winning a national championship for Indiana is going to help how Colts fans feel about him probably. But I think he could have been a good fit. I do like the player. I don't hate the process, though. I love building in the trenches, no matter where you are as an organization, and getting good quality there in Farmer, I actually thought was a nice pick.
I liked the pick. It's not sexy. I think every fan would rather their team draft a wide receiver over an offensive guard. But the Colts needed help, especially in terms of depth along the offensive line. So I thought it was a good pick. Quentin Nelson isn't going to play forever. You need a successor in there at some point. It'll be great. The Colts offensive line will be nothing but 3rd and 4th round picks whenever that happens. Shout out to Tony Sperano Jr., one of the best offensive line coaches in football.
Really good. Yeah.
Again, joined by Zach Pereles of CBSSports.com, talking Colts. So you wrote down their biggest need being receiver. Why did you pick that over edge rusher?
This was a tough one for me, but just the guys that they have right now are really good in their roles. Like you will not find a bigger Josh Downs fan than I am. He just does everything you want as a slot receiver. If he were 3 inches taller, he would have been like one of the first picks in the draft, and I think like an absolute star. But he also probably wouldn't move the way he does because his movement is truly rare. So I love him in the slot. Alec Pierce is a guy who just, again, his game has evolved so much. I cannot say enough about him going from kind of a deep threat, big play guy to a guy who can be a legitimate, 8 target a game guy, but he's still not going to be a guy who brings in all 8 of those targets. He's not going to have a ton of catches. I believe just around 50 last year. So I still want to see a guy who can be that third option, perimeter wide receiver. I believe when I checked, it was Nick Westbrook-Akine. And if you're starting with Nick Westbrook-Akine, that's okay. But if you look at where he's been and where he's played a lot, those teams have not been the best passing teams. So I just would like to see someone who just brings the floor up a little bit. I think we know like Josh Downs at his best is really good. Alec Pierce at his best is really good in their roles. You just want to see one guy who Juwan Jennings can give you a little bit of juice over the middle, a little bit of juice downfield, really reliable. We talked about the blocking. So I get the need at edge too, but I think when we talk about these veteran edges, they come off of free agency a little bit later. And looking at the depth there are still more guys who I think can contribute, even if it's like a Derek Barnett, who was really good in Houston, obviously playing behind Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. helps, but he can give you 15 helpful snaps a game. Whereas wide receiver, I think you're looking for a little bit higher of a contributor.
That makes sense. Again, joined by Zach Pereles of CBSSports.com, talking about the Colts and their needs. It's we've been talking about it so much here on the show of like, I also think I agree with you. I would have picked receiver as well, because there has to be a part of you that hopes that Leatu Latu develops a little more in year 3. Jalen Tuimoloau was a no-show last year. Was like a healthy scratch in some games. Like you hope that a 2nd-round pick from a year ago would develop into something. They went and got Arden Key as well to hopefully be a rotational guy as well during free agency. So my thing with receiver, I feel like everyone that needs one is going to be calling Juwan Jennings. And like if I'm Juwan Jennings, do I really do I want to go play for the Colts, who like are probably going to go 9-8 again? And I'm playing with Daniel Jones, who played well last year but tore his Achilles. So if it's not Juwan Jennings, who do you like kind of after that?
The first name that comes to mind for me is Stephon Diggs. There's a lot going on there, but he can still absolutely produce. And the thought there would also be he is a little bit different than Josh Downs, but they have some similar, just like guys get open, catch the ball. I think that Stephon Diggs can play a little bit more outside. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the reason that I was a little bit hesitant to go with edge, and I ended up going with wide receiver because I think it starts falling off a little bit more quickly there. You know, the name that's been kind of bandied about everywhere is Brandon Ayuk. He's a gigantic question mark. I mean, all the reporting that's come out, the team is having trouble getting in contact with him. Any team is having trouble getting in contact with him. And then there are some other guys like Deebo Samuel can give you some stuff after the catch, which would be a little bit different than what the Colts have right now. But his kind of the number of targets he gets is going to be, or the depth of target he's going to get is kind of similar to the Josh Downs range. So do you want two guys who catch those shorter passes and one guy who likes to go deep, and you're still looking for that middleman? So maybe it's Stephon Diggs. Maybe it's Brandon Ayuk, although I don't know what Brandon Ayuk is going to be doing 5 months from now when the season's opening. Will he still be on the Niners technically? Will he be a free agent? And even if he is on a team, there's big questions about how much you can trust a guy who walked away from $30 million a year.
Yeah, he'll probably be on the interstate, if I had to guess. Joined by Zach Pereles of CBSSports.com talking Colts and their needs at wide receiver and edge. So one of the big question marks here, I talked about this the other day. Strangely, I feel better about the Colts defense than I do their offense, just because I think CJ Allen is going to be plug and play. I think Halsey's the same way. A lot of good players in the secondary. Even if I don't love their edges right now, they're really good at defensive tackle. I just feel like I know a little bit more about it. Whereas on offense, it's like Jonathan Taylor is going to be 27, which that's not old. That's old for a running back who's had to carry as big of a load as he has. And I think the other two questions are obviously like, what does Daniel Jones look like coming off of the Achilles? And they paid Alec Pierce a lot of money. And I get it. Like, he's great downfield, but I don't think that they would have been willing to pay him that much money if they thought that was the only thing that he could do. And so I think they really want him to be their wide receiver one who does a little more than just win on deep overs and on go routes. How do you think that pans out? And just what do you think? I know you mentioned earlier Alec Pierce being like an 8-target-a-game guy now. What do you think those targets look like when the season rolls around?
Yeah, I think the most encouraging thing is when teams pay players, they're paying them for what they're going to be. And the jump I saw from Alec Pierce last year was really impressive. His ability to win on in routes, make tough catches over the middle. The next step is going to be him winning quickly on those intermediate routes, slants, things like that. And if he makes that jump, like, he is a really, really, really good player. It's a big jump to make, though. But he made a big jump last year. And if he is what he was last year, then yeah, you're looking at a player who is a good player, but that is still a pretty hefty price. But if there's another jump for him to make, you really like all the downfield, abilities that he gives you. I kind of agree with you, though. I'm really worried about the offense because if it's not a ton of Jonathan Taylor, Achilles are no joke. Like, this is and I think we forget last year, like, Daniel Jones, one of the best things we saw from him last year was his ability to move, his ability to escape sacks. Those were things that he was not doing in New York. And he really did a good job. We look back at the first 8 weeks, the Colts were awesome, or especially like the first 6 or 7 weeks before he suffered that first leg injury. Like, his movement skills were back. He was making a lot of right reads. He was getting the ball out quickly. All the things that you kind of wanted from him. We know that he's not going to be a top 5 or 10 quarterback, but he was playing like the 12th, the 12th best quarterback in the NFL. And that was way more than anyone expected. And his numbers were up there with anybody. So I just am a little bit worried because guys just don't move the same 1 year after an Achilles. Sometimes they never move the same again. But I especially think about a guy like Kirk Cousins, who he wasn't a great mover ever. He could move a little bit, but after the Achilles, the difference between being an okay mover and an immobile quarterback is huge. And it's not just the running, it's the avoiding the sacks, it's the escaping one pressure, and even not even completing a pass, throwing the ball away to be on 2nd and 10 instead of 2nd and 17, and all of a sudden you're in big trouble. So I want to see if Daniel Jones can be the guy who could make one rusher miss and get the ball out. Can he be the guy who can work from under center and on rollouts and things like that? All of those movements, you don't have to be a great mover to do them, but you have to be an okay mover. And with a guy like Kirk Cousins, Kirk was older, obviously, but Daniel Jones, those are going to be big questions for him.
It is. And again, joined by Zach Pereles of CBSSports.com, talking about the Colts and their upcoming season. Like you said, Kirk Cousins was older. I did a thing a couple weeks ago comparing Aaron Rodgers the year after his Achilles tear compared to year 2. He looks way better in year 2 after. I think Kirk Cousins, the same thing last year, seeing him in Atlanta. The second year after the Achilles, he looks a lot better. But like you said early on, the mobility stuff is a huge question. The Colts like to do a lot of stuff from under center, and that was one of the problems with Kirk Cousins. He couldn't get out wide to do the play action and those things. So I think those are all excellent points. Last thing for you, Zach, and I'll let you go here. You not only cover the NFL, you do a lot of stuff on college basketball as well. We're moving to 76 teams. I hate it. What do you think?
Yeah, I dislike it. The teams that you look that would have made the tournament last year, if it had been 76, the list is not fun. You're looking at 500 teams.
17 and 16 Auburn?
Right. You're looking at 500 teams. And the thing is, it gets a lot worse than Auburn, too. Like, it's
Indiana.
It's not, I don't know. I mean, I know why it happens because there's major money involved. Every broadcast is a moneymaker, and all of the powers that be in terms of the conferences are going to love to say, oh, look, the Big Ten got its most teams ever in, and then they all lose within the first round or second round. I just don't like the idea of diluting something. I don't like the idea that it's going to help major conference teams. It's a bummer. I thought 64 was great. I thought that 68 was great because some of those teams, I think 11 or 12 out of the 14 years that we've had it, a team in the first 4 has gone on to win at least one more game after winning that first 4 game. But expanding it so much, it's not, I don't know. I used to write which of the first 4 teams can make a run and had a little bit of success there. I'm not going to be doing a first of 12, what is it now? 12 teams. It's just, I'm not going to be able to do it. Like it's a lot. And I'm not a fan, but I know that the money and the people in charge of making the money are going to like it a lot.
That's exactly right. And that's the thing. Like if they took this opportunity to add like the 29-5 mid-major team that was supposed to win their conference but didn't, then I would be cool with that. But as you said, it's really going to be for more of those large major teams like Indiana who go 18-15 and lose to Northwestern twice and lose to Minnesota. And I just think that if you lose to Northwestern twice and lose to Minnesota, you shouldn't get in. Zach, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to having you on in the future as well as training camp gets rolling. Are you going to Commanders camp again this year? Are they sending you to Baltimore? What's kind of the plan?
Yeah, I think I'll be in Washington and Baltimore, and we'll see where else from there. But hope those teams are good because it'd be a lot of fun to have 2 good teams in this area this year, especially after last year.
Absolutely, Zach. Thanks for your time, man.
Thanks for having me.
See ya. That is Zach Pereles. You can check him out on X at Zach_Pereles. Does a great job covering the NFL, college basketball as well. A really nice guy on top of everything else as well. The lottery, it is coming up. We are going to figure out what pick the Indiana Pacers have in like 10 days. Pretty insane. We will do our lottery segment in about 3 minutes. Life can feel overwhelming, and sometimes all your body needs is a quiet moment in a cozy, calming place. Salty Woods in Greenwood offers salt therapy, also known as halo therapy, a natural drug-free wellness practice that mimics the microclimate of salt caves. And we've got a special deal for you only while they last. Go to indiesportsticket.com right now and click on that sweet deals tab to get 2 seats in the salt room for half off. That is a $75 value, yours for just $35.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM. So many ways to tune in. There's really no excuse not to. Zack Gray, professional sports gambler, joins us in 15 minutes to tell you how to gamble your money this weekend. Brendan Sorley, if you're out there, you're going to want to listen to this, I promise. So The NBA draft lottery is coming up on May 10th. The Indiana Pacers will land anywhere between the first pick and the 7th pick. Obviously, if they land pick 5, 6, or 7, it goes to the Los Angeles Clippers. And in honor of the NBA draft lottery, every day starting yesterday, or every show starting yesterday, leading up to the lottery, we are going to do we're going to do a lottery of our own. I'm really not explaining this very well, but that's okay. We're going to do a lottery of our own where we pull a number and we basically have a take that corresponds with every single number. So imagine a scale of 1 to 7. How I feel about these things falls on that scale. Chris, while I pull the number, play the intro. Groovy, man. I like it. All right. So today we rolled the number 3. So on a scale of 1 to 7, a 3 is something that I, don't like, but also at a point where it's like I don't like it, but there are definitely things that I hate more. And I think number 3 for me has to be coach speak. I don't think anyone likes coach speak. With that being said, if I was a general manager or an owner, give me all the coach speak. Say absolutely nothing. If I was a general manager or an owner, I would want Bill Belichick to come into my office every year and teach all of my coaches on how to say, we're on to Cincinnati without anybody caring. Because that's exactly what he did. But I am not a general manager. I am not an owner, believe it or not. I want them to say something because I'm a radio host. And it's way more fun when we have videos of Chris Ballard giggling about drafting Leatu Latu and then Leatu Latu not panning out and then getting to make fun of Chris Ballard for that said video. And so on. It's also fun when, a coach is like, hey, I like this player. And then that player goes on to be really good. It's great when guys like Jaden McDaniels, after winning game 2 against the Denver Nuggets, looks into the camera and says, I just attack the bad defenders. And then the reporter says, who are the bad defenders? And he then proceeds to list every player on the Denver Nuggets roster. And then he backs it up with 30 points to send the Denver Nuggets home. Love stuff like that. When you get coach speak, you don't get that at all. I want my athletes and I want the coaches to say something. I wish Mike Vrabel at his first press conference after all the Diana Rossini stuff had just come out and flat out said, I slept with Diana Rossini and it was awesome. I wish he had just said that, right? Because obviously he enjoyed it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have gone on for 6 years. All this, I really regret it. You don't regret it, man. You just regret that you got caught. That would just be so much more fun. I guess really what I'm looking for from these coaches and players is honesty. Like whenever there's like an older quarterback who's on a team where he's backing up a younger quarterback, and you ask the older quarterback about him, he's like, what do you think about the young rookie? And they're like, he's really talented, really nice arm. It's like, you think he sucks, but you can't say that. I hate stuff like that. Okay, it's way more entertaining when people just say what they want to, and I hate when guys like Chris Ballard just repeat the same phrases over and over and over again. We like our guys. Cool. That's great. Glad that you like your guys. What do you like about them? We just like that they're in the building. We like our guys, because they're in the building, we get a lot of competition. That's really important. And I don't care to hear that anymore. So, John, that is an excellent idea. We have a new segment, Chris, that we have to do from now on. I don't know if you saw the comment.
I just saw that, yeah.
The Sorsby line is the official line of the week. From that, we will, going forward, we will have the Brendan Sorsby bet of the weekend every Friday. I got to find, we'll do it with Zack Gray when he comes on.
I like it.
So, yeah, let me write it down, because if I don't write it down, then I'm not going to remember. It's really that simple. John, that is such a good idea. I got to figure out what sheet of paper I need to write this on. I think on this one. Oh my gosh. I'm usually more organized than this. And I'm glad my wife's not listening because she would call in and be like, "That's not true. You're a mess." And I am, but that's okay. Chris, what is your take on coach speak? Do you like it, or is it just something that you're kind of like, whatever about? What do you think?
It depends on who it is, I guess. Like the coach from was it UCLA? I enjoy that quite a bit.
Mick Cronin?
Yeah. Yeah, he's entertaining. If a lot of
That's
it's
what I'm
like
saying. I need more stuff like that.
Absolutely.
When I say coach speak, I mean like when Shane Steichen after the game is asked about the offense. And he's like, and he just gives you all the buzzwords of like, I thought we moved the football. We probably could have ran the ball a little bit
Or
better.
like the obvious.
Yeah.
I would like a little bit more intel, but I mean that's acceptable too. It's probably a requirement, and in some cases that fits better. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I just say something. Like give me something to talk about. Give the blogger boys something to write about.
Right.
It would be greatly appreciated if he could just do that. Again, shout out to John there. This is a great idea.
Good call, John.
So we'll do that with Zack Gray in the next segment here. Oh man. All right. 2020. Man, can we not do this? ESPN is doing, we are officially at the point in the year where there's nothing to talk about. ESPN is currently doing a mock draft for 2027. Come on. Jeez Louise. Like let's stay in the moment. Let's focus on, I don't know, which rookies are going to be the most impactful. Put CJ Allen at the top of that list. Let's focus on which rookies are going to suck the most. That's way better than a 2027 mock draft. That's insane.
You see the Colts tanking it all this season to try to get that.
They can't tank because
like
their first round pick goes to the Jets next year.
That's right.
And I keep forgetting about it too. And I'm, go ahead and book this. The Colts are going to regret not having their first round pick next year because, again, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be very good coming off of the Achilles. He's going to be going into the final year of his contract, and there's going to be like 9 quarterbacks taken in the first round, and the Colts are going to be sitting there like,
So it's not going to matter how they finish anyway.
Not bring it up. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like if they go 5-12, then congratulations to the New York Jets. You have another first round pick that you get to squander. Congratulations. Like that's probably what's going to happen. We're going to have to sit here and watch them draft like CJ Carr or someone from Notre Dame just to ruin CJ Carr's career. And we can all sit here and be like, man, CJ Carr could have been a legend here, or, whatever it ends up being. So that is still, like, I didn't mind the Sauce Gardner trade, and then Daniel Jones tore his Achilles, and it was like, golly, that trade's going to bite them in the butt. And it's going to be brutal because they're not going to be able to finally acquire that franchise quarterback that they desperately need. Biggest news in Colts country today, Anthony Richardson's 5th-year option was shockingly not picked up by the Colts. He will be a free agent in March. Hopefully the Colts can move him for a 7th-round pick before that happens. Zack Gray, friend of the program, staple. He's been like on vacation or something like that the last couple of weeks. I don't know. I feel like it's a vacation whenever he gets to talk to me. But hey, I mean, I don't know. He is set to join the show coming up here at 1 o'clock, where we will do the Brendan Sorsby Bet of the Week with the one and only professional sports gambler, Zack Gray. He joins at 1 o'clock.
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 2 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching on X__Jonathan Smith, to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM. If you're just now tuning in, you picked a great time. It's my favorite time of the week. We got Zack Gray at ZG The Grapevine on X, professional sports gambler. Check out his Patreon, which is linked in his X bio, where he sells tools to help you make better bets. Zack, it's been a couple weeks, man. What's going on?
Jay Smith, what's up? Happy Friday.
Dude, happy Friday, man. I don't know about you. I got a big weekend in store here, man. My mom gets into town here in about 3 hours. We're running the half marathon together tomorrow. And, yeah, can't wait.
Are you ready for that?
As ready as I can be, you know. I ran 10 miles a couple weeks ago. Had an okay pace. I wish it would have been a little quicker. I was at about 12 minutes. My goal is to run it in under 2.5 hours. We'll see if I can do that.
I think you got it. You keep yourself active enough to. I feel like you can do that,
dude. It's been good for me. It's made me more active, which has actually been really, really nice. You texted me before we got on here, and you said you didn't have any bets today, Zack, which makes me so disappointed. We had a listener make a comment for a new for a new segment, and I was like, this would be perfect to do with Zack. So next week, when you come back on, we're gonna start doing the Brendan Sorsby Bet of the Week in honor of Sorsby and whatever he's got going on. Is there a crazier story in sports right now than that?
The thing is like, yeah, it's crazy, but like, is it though? Like this type of thing was bound to happen at some point, right? And like we've seen little pockets pop up, especially in college sports. This was like this was a collision course as soon as the gambling apps and everything started welcoming, you know, the teams and things like that. This was always going to be something that we would deal with, I feel like.
10,000 bets since 2022, though, is kind of insane. That's 20 bets a day.
If you're betting balls and strikes at Great American Ballpark, I just don't know. Like, yeah, you have a problem. Like, yeah, good for him for getting help on that.
Joined by Zack Gray, professional sports gambler, talking a little bit about Brendan Sorsby. Here's my question. Like, I'm kind of waiting on a bigger shoe to drop. Because, I mean, look, 20 bets a day is insane. It's a lot. He should have checked himself in and gotten help. I'm glad that he's doing that. But there's like a small part of me that's like, are we going to get a story where it's like he bet $200 on his team to lose to Nebraska or something like that? Is there any part of you kind of waiting for something like that to come out?
Yeah, I mean, didn't they say he was placing bets on Indiana football when he was on Indiana in 2022?
Yeah, he was betting on them to win, which tells you right there he's a terrible gambler.
Right.
So I don't know, man. Go ahead.
I feel like he's at least quarterback. He's competitive enough to where, like, I feel like there's not going to be anything coming out where he bet against his team. But it's still just one of those things where, like, we've seen it over and over again. Like, the excuse that I bet on my team to win just doesn't work. Like,
no.
That's not. No one's giving you that bail because you bet on your team to win. That's not how this works.
No, it is not. We are not giving you bail on that. And it's not even just big because anytime you have an athlete that gambles, it's automatically a story. It's automatically a problem. But Texas Tech paid that guy a lot of money to come in and look, you know, Texas Tech was really good last year. They obviously run into Oregon and it becomes pretty apparent that they didn't have the offense to compete with the best teams in the country. And Sorsby was kind of supposed to be the answer to that, the number one ranked player in the portal last year. how does this impact kind of how you look at the upcoming college football season?
I mean, I don't think Sorsby plays another down of college football, right?
Oh, no
and
way.
So if you're Texas Tech, like, you're going to just have the same problem that you had last year. You're probably going to have a really sick team around your quarterback who isn't probably a high-level, top-of-the-line Power 4 starter now. And so that's another year of the same thing. Like, do I think that they can control the Big 12 like they did last year? Yeah, but all of your aspirations of taking that next step are pretty much done. I feel like I don't see a way in which Texas Tech elevates based off last year because of this.
I don't either. I just, even though the Will Hamilton, whatever his name is, like a former
Hammonds or whatever.
Hammonds, there it is. Like former 4-star guy from West Texas, like didn't look bad in the 2 games he played last year. But like you said, just do I think he's going to be better than Julian Sayin or Josh Hoover or any of those other guys? Probably not.
He's like Texas Tech. I don't know if he's gonna. Thing is I don't know if he gets to keep that $5 million that he got from Texas Tech. I don't know. I feel like we talk about this from a Sorsby and Texas Tech on the field scenario, but like, can I say something that might be a little controversial?
That's why we have you on, man.
If you're like kind of like, good job. Like, I'm glad Cody Campbell finally got something to go against him here. Like, he's been spending all this money and talking about all this stuff and how we need to come together, but he's one of the main drivers that won't sign the agreement or whatever officially. Like, he's kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth, and I'm kind of glad something went wrong for him right now.
That is. That's a totally fair stance. That's a great stance to take. That's awesome. Again, joined by Zack Gray. Follow him on X at ZG the Grapevine. Does a great job with his sports gambling. You can check him. You can check out his Patreon linked in his bio, where he sells tools to help you make better bets. So the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, the draft. What'd you think of the draft?
I thought the draft was like, for the first time in a while, I felt like I was watching the draft and I was legitimately shocked. Like, when certain picks happened. Like, for times, I feel like, I don't know if this is because of the Wojcification of drafts, or like the insider is ruining the draft, but I didn't look at anything, and I felt like all of the picks that were made, we didn't really like past number 1, obviously.
Yeah.
But we all really didn't know which direction that teams were going to go. And it was kind of cool to finally be like, oh, wow, that's shock-free. And then, because they did that changes the whole draft here. I feel like we haven't had a draft like that in a while, where things kind of went off the rails and things were different than what everyone thought.
Yeah, especially at the top, like your guy, Sonny Styles, falling to 7, I thought was really surprising. Arvell Reese falling to 5. Surprising, but I also think that that's the best place for him. Carnell Tate going 4th, kind of crazy. What would you kind of think of all your
crazy pick?
Yeah, what'd you think of your Ohio State guys?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they all ended up in good situations for the most part. Like, I like Carnell Tate with Cam Ward. I think Arvell Reese, anywhere he was going to go, he was going to play, be an impact. He's just so versatile. I could see him playing, inside linebacker, outside linebacker, edge. The whole thing on him is how versatile he is. I feel like any team he was going to go to, there would be a role for him. I think Sonny Styles is a perfect fit with Dan Quinn in Washington. And then I think, Dallas with Caleb Downs, like any team that got Caleb Downs was getting a playmaker.
Yeah.
And I can't believe the best defense is 4th one picked in the group. It's kind of just crazy how the NFL works that way.
Yeah, it's just because he plays safety. I mean, that's what it is.
Positional value, but how many times can we see like a Kyle Hamilton be like, oh, we can't pick safeties in the top 10?
Yeah, he went 12th, if I remember correctly. 14, yeah. And so Yeah, I mean, I get it, especially in this draft where there's a ton of edge rushers. The fact that Ruben Bain fell to 15, I just couldn't believe.
He's got little T-Rex arms, though.
Yeah, I know. So does your so does your guy who the Bengals took in round 2 from A&M. He's got like 29-inch arms.
Cassius Howe?
Yeah, Hal. He's
Yeah,
a
it's a
monster.
good pick.
Though.
We do a good job of drafting. The Bengals do a good job of drafting, and they've really hit lately. Good.
Joined by Zack Gray, live from Cincinnati, Reds fan, Bengals fan. What do you think of the Reds so far this year? I'll be honest. You know me. I've been just locked in on the playoffs for the NBA. I haven't been watching as much baseball. How are your Reds doing?
They're leading the division, Jonathan, and it feels like recently, within the last week or so, that it's actually starting to become sustainable. There was the first couple weeks of the season, they're winning these games, and it's like, oh my gosh, how many close games can you win? How many games can you win where only 2 of your hitters are actually producing at all? And now all of a sudden, it seems like the rest of the team is kind of caught up. You're getting production from 1 through 9 in the order, as opposed to just Sal Stewart and Ellie De La Cruz. The bullpen is kind of coming back to reality a little bit, but I think they're finally playing baseball in a way that's sustainable. And I don't know if they're going to win the Central, but I do know that they are competitive, and they will be competitive throughout the season. And whether that's winning the Central or making the wild card spot, I do think that they have what it takes to make the playoffs again for the second time in a row. When they get Hunter Green back, I think that kind of puts the final nail in for me. Like, not completely sold. Do I think this is one of the best teams in baseball? Probably not. But do I think they make the playoffs? It's in some capacity, yes.
Yeah, it's been a while since that's happened as well. And what's been really nice about the Reds, it's a lot of these younger guys who are kind of coming into their own, which is a fun thing to kind of watch. When I have caught them this year, because I don't know if I told you this or not, we are the official station of the Cincinnati Reds here in Indy. It's been I've enjoyed watching them. So that's always a plus. Again, joined by Zack Gray at ZZ the Grapevine on X, professional sports gambler. Check out his Patreon, linked in his bio, where he sells tools to help you make better bets. So my producer Chris and I, we talked about this yesterday. Have you ever made a Spotify playlist for a lover of yours?
I feel like I used to. I will admit this. No, I have never made a Spotify playlist, but I used to when I was on like 7th grade. I used to burn CDs and give them to my crushes. So yes, I guess technically I have done that.
That's awesome. That makes it, I don't know why, but the effort of burning the CD makes it so much better. That's awesome.
It's more normal than you think.
Yeah, I had a friend that did it. I never actually did it, but I would write down a list of songs that I would like him to burn. And when we would get to the school bus the next day, he would have it for me, and then I would give it to said crush. And like, it was cool, but I don't think anyone actually ever listened to it all the way through. Like, I think it's just like, oh, that's sweet, and then you moved on. But yeah, I guess I kind of feel Diana Rossini here. I guess I am kind of that way.
That's where we're going here. I'll be honest, Zach. You know, I love my wife, but if I was an athlete or a coach and we lost 4 in a row and I got a playlist called Turning the Page, I'd be like, hey, that's so sweet, but please leave me alone.
Yep. I agree 100%. I would not enjoy that one bit.
Oh man. I just, that whole thing is just insane. I don't really think there's any other way to really put it.
He's not going to lose his job over that, right?
No, dude, the owner's Robert Kraft. He's probably like in the next room over with some masseuses with a lot of lotion.
But you saw. Okay. That's a low blow. Literally.
Yeah.
But there's like rumors. There's like rumors that they're like preparing for him to resign. Don't know why he even resigned. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, is that just media, internet fodder, or like, is there like, I don't know if that's a real thing or not.
I think it's media, internet fodder. I think that we're at a point right now where we've got TVs in here, and ESPN just did a 2027 mock draft for the NFL, which means they have nothing to talk about today. I think we're just kind of at that point in the cycle.
wish they would talk about baseball more because baseball's cool right now.
It's awesome. Like, people drug Rob Manfred through the mud for years because he wanted to make all these changes, and he finally made some of them. And like you said, it's going really well right now.
Yeah, but back to the Vrabel thing, like, just a tough look for a former Buckeye. Like, there's so many former Buckeyes in the NFL. Like, there's bound to be some stories, and we just got one right now. So he's a Patriot here, so I don't claim him as a Buck.
Yeah. Question. So to be clear here, again, joined by Zack Gray, when Urban Meyer got a little handsy, he was a Jaguar, not a Buckeye.
Correct. Now you're getting it.
Okay. That's what I would do too. That's absolutely what I would do. I'm sure that's what all the Michigan State fans do with Miles Bridges and things like that.
Yeah.
Are you watching the NBA playoffs, or are you sitting this year out?
I've watched from afar. I haven't locked in on every single game, but I am kind of concerned that the Lakers are going to blow this.
No way.
Somehow.
Look, man.
They've looked really bad in the last 2 games.
Yeah, well, when Luke Kennard, the thing that's amazing to me is that it took Ime Udoka 3 games to realize that Luke Kennard is a cone. Like, they finally started bullying him. He hasn't been as good offensively either. With that being said, like, LeBron's still so good. Like, they play tonight. I fully expect for LeBron to go get 25, 8, and 10, and then win the game by 6, because he's still that good.
Right, but what if this series gets to 3-3? I feel like no one is concerned right now except me. I feel like this series could definitely get to a game 7, and is that not insane to you that this is even going to a game 6?
It is insane. Like, the fact that they won game 5, but I don't know how much of that game you caught, but Amen Thompson's hitting corner threes, and Tari Eason, who didn't hit a 3 for 2 months, he made 4. I just feel like the way that the Rockets are winning, it just doesn't feel sustainable for another 2 games. On the offensive end, defensively, I think that they've kind of figured some things out in terms of being able to kind of limit Luke Kennard. Austin Reeves is coming back. He doesn't look healthy, but I get it. It's the playoffs. He's going to play. So, I mean, maybe it gets to 7, but I mean, if it gets to 7, the NBA might have to step in, and be like, hey, guys, we can't let the king lose.
Oh my gosh, LeBron at 41 is going to win the series by himself. And now if it gets to a game 7, everything that all of the goodwill LeBron got from the first 3 games of this series will be wiped away tenfold if they lose this series. And I just don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah, that would give him such a unique resume. But here, the only guy to come back from down 3-1 in the finals, but also the only guy to blow a 3-0 series lead. That is quite the contrast on the resume. Not saying it would impact anything.
That can't happen.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think the NBA is going to allow it. Scott Foster is the official tonight, and I'm very intrigued to see how that goes. Because he's a little.
Yeah, they just got to do it now.
Yeah,
NBA's got to step in and get it done right now. Don't even let the tensions build for a game 7. Help us out here in game 6. Let's get us on. And then if the Lakers need to lose the next round, they can. Just can't let the greatness of LeBron in the first 3 games be wasted. I just can't. I don't know if I could take it.
I had a sad moment, again, joined by Zack Gray, talking a little bit of Lakers and LeBron and all that kind of stuff. I had a sad moment watching LeBron in game 5. It's late in the game. The Rockets are up 6, and LeBron he's at the foul line shooting free throws. And Alperen Sengun says something to him. And LeBron is clearly agitated, calls him words I can't say on the air, and says, you're just a soft big man. You can't say that. And then you see 3 possessions where LeBron tries to turn it on, and like a decade ago, he just would have like dunked it 3 times and then hit a 3, and it would have been awesome. And everyone on social media would have been talking about that moment at the foul line. But he like hits a 3, and then Reed has like the steal 2 possessions later. It was like you could see LeBron trying to just completely take over, but he's just like he's 41. And it's not a knock. It's just it's just another reminder of he's 41, and last year is probably his last, or next year is probably his last year.
I mean, he's playing really well. Like I think with a healthy Luka and a healthy Austin Reeves for the whole season, like I think he's comfortable being the third option. I can see him playing another couple of years.
I hope he does, man. It's just watching him regress into Phoenix Suns Chris Paul. It's just been a lot of fun.
Dare you?
Huh?
That's how dare you?
Okay.
Phoenix Suns Chris Paul was fine, but how dare you?
Okay. I just meant
we're talking about LeBron James.
Phoenix Suns Chris Paul carried DeAndre Ayton to the NBA Finals. Like, let's not. I mean,
but it's still Chris Paul. Let's be real. Like LeBron's playing much better than Chris Paul ever had in his whole career.
I just mean stylistically. Like, he's basically playing point guard and putting everyone in the right spot and making the same play time and time again. I was more so alluding to play style.
Way better.
Yes, I was more so alluding to play style. Oh, man. Zack Gray. All right, man. I got to run. We went over. I appreciate your time. We will do the Brendan Sorsby Bet of the Week next week, all right?
Yes, we will.
All right.
Yep.
See you, buddy.
Jake Smith.
See ya. That is Zack Gray. You can check him out on X at ZG the Grapevine. Great friend of mine. Usually has bets. Took this week off. That's okay. It happens sometimes. So we will do the Brendan Sorsby Bet of the Week with him next week. But I'm gonna, I'll do some of my own research. I'll come up with one. If anyone has any Kentucky Derby picks that they would like to submit for the Brendan Sorsby Bet of the Week, 317-228-1430. That is the number. Jake Arthur joins the show in 15 minutes, but in 3 minutes, we'll take calls on bets that you have for the weekend.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM if you're in your car driving around the Indianapolis area. So many ways to listen, no excuse not to. Thank you so far to Zach Pereles and Zack Gray for joining the show to talk about really everything. Kind of insane. Coming up here in about 13 minutes, we're going to have Jake Arthur from Locked On Colts to continue talking Colts and their draft. Oh, man. Let's get into a little bit of Funless Friday. I think, we don't have a sounder for this one. We have a sounder for everything else, though. Okay. Add that to the to-do list for this weekend. So the NBA playoffs are going on right now, and Paolo Banchero has been probably my favorite guy to watch in these playoffs because he's a playoff riser. And so for Funless Friday, what I decided to do is I've got a short list, only 4 guys, who I would deem as playoff risers, but they all have something that you have to have in order to be a playoff riser. So because Paolo Banchero is the one who made me think about this list, we're going to start with him. The first thing that every playoff riser has is talent. Like, you know what's really nice to have in the NBA playoffs? A 6'10", 250-pound guy who can dribble, pass, and score. Every playoff riser that you have ever seen has an incredible amount of talent. Okay? Every other player that I have on this list has an immense amount of talent. It is the baseline for being a playoff riser. Jimmy Butler, not on the list, but an incredibly talented player. He's one of the biggest playoff risers ever. Jamal Murray, another playoff riser. May have to take him off this list after what he did last night. 4 of 17. Come on now. Right? He's an incredible talent with the way that he's able to get to his shot off the bounce. Really good out of dribble handoffs. Rajon Rondo on the Celtics, to be a little more specific. One of the most gifted passers ever. And whenever the postseason came around, that level went up. And that's what we're seeing with Paolo, right? And this is what we've seen before from other playoff risers. He goes from 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in the regular season. Those are good numbers. He's been an all-star before. In the playoffs for his career, he averages 27, 9, and 5. Just goes to a whole nother level. Okay, you can only do that if you are wildly talented. So Paolo Banchero starts at the top of the list. Next is Tyrese Halliburton, representing IQ. I think this is such an underrated part of being a playoff riser in the NBA. You have to be incredibly smart. When you're playing the same teams potentially 7 times in a row over a 2-week period, you are going to see a variety of different coverages. Sometimes they're going to blitz you coming off of a ball screen. Sometimes you're going to post up and they're going to double you on the catch. Other times they're going to double you on the first dribble. Sometimes they're going to make you go left. Sometimes they're going to make you go right. And so on. There's just so many different ways that these guys get covered. And Tyrese Halliburton, while he is an incredible talent, he can really shoot the basketball. He seems to beat everybody off the bounce. But the thing that I think separates him is how intelligent he is. Okay? That is his superpower. It's how he's able to make everyone around him in the playoffs better, even though he only averages 17 points per game in the playoffs. His ability to just dissect defenses is what allows him to go to another level. And playoff risers have to be able to do that. They have to be able to make the players around them better. Because when the attention is focused on you, the ability to know the right play is important. Who cares if you're a playoff riser if you don't win a series? In order to win the series, you have to get a little bit of help from the guys around you. And the best playoff risers can do that through their IQ on how to beat coverages. So Tyrese Halliburton makes the list representing basketball IQ. Michael Jordan has to be on this list. And he is, of course, representing competitiveness. You also have to hit big shots late in the playoffs. Every playoff riser is met with the opportunity to hit the shot. All right, we saw Reggie Miller do it. here in Indy. Michael Jordan did it several times during his career. Tyrese Halliburton last year, and so on. Okay, Michael Jordan has to be the example for hitting the shot, right? I mean, he's the pinnacle of this. And the guys who hit these big shots and rise to the occasion time and time again are oftentimes ultra competitive. For example, the Magic beat the Pistons in game 1 of that series this year between the 1 seed and the 8 seed. As Paulo Banchero is walking off the court, he's yelling at fans, "I effing told you we were going to beat y'all." Jimmy Butler is the definition of a competitive psycho. He wants, to be traded away from Minnesota, and they're telling him no. So he's skipping practice. And then one day he shows up, and Coach Tibbs, head coach at the time, is elated. Hell, hey, Jimmy's here. We're about to scrimmage. And then Jimmy Butler goes, "Great. I want to play against all the starters. Give me the third string guys." And they beat him. And the whole time he's yelling at people, calling Karl Anthony Towns soft. And it's a great story. You have to have this competitiveness, this little extra edge, and that's something that Michael Jordan had. That's something that Tyrese Halliburton has. That's something that Kobe Bryant had. Luka Doncic has it as well, and so on. You have to be ultra competitive to be a playoff riser, because in the NBA, there's just far too many guys who care way too much about being cool. You know what's cool? Drop in 30 in an elimination game to send somebody home. I think that's pretty cool. The last guy here that I have on the list, and I am open to suggestions on other traits that need to be on the list, 317-228-1430. That is the number if you want to call in or text. You have to have a go-to spot, and I think Tim Duncan kind of has to be the guy for this. Checks all the boxes that we've already listed. But there's also an incredible importance of having a spot on the floor that you can get to score, or a certain action that you can get into to create for yourself or your teammates. And when Tim Duncan needed a bucket, you just got it to him on the block. And he's going to go bang shot, or he's going to get to that right hand and hit that little baby hook. It's just automatic. Michael Jordan, he gets the ball mid-post, does a little post-up, little turnaround fade. Steph Curry, just get it to him on the wing, catch and shoot. It's probably going in. I feel like every big shot Steph Curry's ever hit has been on the wing for some reason. Jalen Brunson, another playoff riser. Did you see them beat the Hawks by 50 last night? Jeez. He just finds a way to get to the elbow. That dude's as tall as I am, so short. And for some reason, he just drops 30 in every playoff game because he finds a way to get to the elbow whenever he or his team needs a bucket. And then for Tyrese Halliburton, you just set him a high ball screen, man. You set him a high ball screen at the top of the arc. It's over. He's going to get downhill. He's going to get a layup, or he's going to find someone who's going to hit a shot. Probably Aaron Nesmith in the corner. So every great NBA player has something that they can go to when they need to get going. But the best playoff risers are always able to get to it. They're always able to get to their spot and make the shot that they're just dying to make. So that is your Fun List Friday. Players with characteristics of what you have to have in order to be a playoff riser. And, the Colts could be filled with playoff risers. The issue is they never seem to make the playoffs. Maybe this is the year that finally breaks that. Jake Arthur of Locked On Colts joins the show here in about 4 minutes to talk about their draft and what the upcoming season could look like.
may one day be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show, where we have had a long line today of really nice guests. We are going to keep that train moving. Jake Arthur from Locked On Colts. You can read him at coltsroundtable.io as well. He joins the show now to talk about the Colts draft. We've been talking about it all week, kind of looking ahead a little bit as well. Jake, thanks for coming on, man. How are you?
Of course, I'm beautiful. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm running the Indy Mini tomorrow.
Good luck. I've done that before, and good luck to you specifically.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it. My mom is coming in town to run it with me,
Mhm.
so that'll be fun, I guess.
It is a cool experience for anyone who has any sort of like cardiovascular ability. Especially running the track is a really cool thing.
That's why I'm doing it. I want to run the track, and that's, I may just walk after that. I don't know. We'll see.
You don't realize how much of an incline they're racing on until you yourself are walking or running on it.
Okay, I'm excited. It's going to be good. I'm sure I'll have a really good time. But I had a really good time with the Colts draft this year. I liked a lot of what they did. What did you make of their draft?
Yeah, I thought largely they addressed what they needed to. Like obviously you want to get an edge rusher earlier. But Zach and I, like, as much as we talked about the edge rusher need and all that stuff throughout the entire pre-draft process, we just continued to find ourselves skipping edge early in that second or third round range, like if we did mocks and stuff. And in that instance, I was cool with them doubling up on edge guys. George Gums was actually someone I thought they should target around that fifth round range, because I know Colts fans don't want to hear like the project, the traitsy edge guys and everything, but that's what you have to choose from when you're getting into that range of the draft. So Gums has really good size, really good explosion. He's new to the position, which is why he's kind of available at that instance. He was a tight end and a receiver earlier in his career at Northern Illinois, so made the switch to edge rusher at Florida, which I think is no small feat, but he's got big upside. But otherwise, I thought they found great value pretty much everywhere. CJ Allen, he was not my favorite pick initially necessarily, but he's really grown on me the more I've watched him. I think he's going to be a really productive, stabilizing force for them. I'm waiting to see if he's going to become more of like a playmaker. He shuts down a lot of stuff. He stops the offense, but he doesn't always create his own plays, if that makes sense. He's not incredibly aggressive in that way. AJ Halsey was one of my probably 3 or 5 favorite players in the draft. So getting him at 78, I thought was a huge steal for them. Safety was no longer the biggest need just because you had added so many guys in the offseason, but they all felt like kind of stopgaps, But Halsey is a guy who truly he provides everything you might want at that position. At strong safety, although him and Bynum will be kind of interchangeable. They'll move up and down situationally. But he's a playmaker that goes and gets the ball. He's physical. He's just a tone setter type that I think fans are going to love him instantly. They really haven't had a safety like him since Antoine Bethea. So I think guys will be a pretty big fan of him. Yeah. And then Deion Burks, of course, I think is super interesting because you had that hole at receiver, which I do still think they're going to kind of approach it by committee to fill the Michael Pittman Jr. and A.D. Mitchell stuff. But Burks is pretty interesting. We've seen a lot of these little receivers, the 5'8", 180-pound guys with speed. We've seen a million of them come and go, and they just leave no impact in the NFL. They never catch on. I feel like he's a bit different. He's got really sure hands. Of course, he's got wiggle and production after the catch, which is always great. But his play strength is like leaps and bounds beyond what a lot of those other, I hate to say like has-beens or never were type of guys. His play strength is far beyond them. Just an example of it, he put up 26 bench press reps at the combine. as a 5'8", 180-pound receiver, which is unheard of.
Yeah, that's
Like, there's a lot of like tight ends and linebackers that don't do that. You know what I mean? So he's pretty interesting. I don't think he'll become like the full-time starter as a rookie, but I think he'll make plenty of plays in the rotation, filling in that spot throughout the year.
Any chance he returns kicks? Put him in Gould back
They
there?
say they're going to try it. I do think him and Anthony Gould are probably competing for one spot, because especially since you had Michael Pittman Jr. filling this single role, and you need like 2 or 3 guys to replace that now. It's just going to be a numbers game. And if you've got these smaller, slot receivers who like do have some outside ability, but are also going to return kicks, is there a need for Deion Burks and Anthony Gould? Probably not. So I do think those two guys are more than likely competing for one spot.
Joined by Jake Arthur of Locked On Colts. You can read him at coltsroundtable.io as well. Before the draft, I did a thing on how I didn't think the Colts would go receiver because there's some like interesting guys still available out in free agency. Juwan Jennings, Stephon Diggs, maybe Deebo Samuel. He's a little older. We'll kind of see about that. Any chance that they go and try and sign one of those guys?
I don't know about receiver because you look at it, and I know Shane Steichen really wants someone like if you're going to go replace Michael Pittman with another veteran, you want them to kind of have some juice and some explosiveness. And that's not really what's out there. Like Jennings he's kind of more of a possession guy who can create some yards after catch. Deebo Samuel is probably the most interesting of the group because he offers that unique, like you can move him around and do a lot of different things with him, and he's really good after the catch. So he's different from kind of everyone else. So that is one I might look at. I don't know that the Colts will. Tyreek Hill, like his knee was that shredded last year during that injury. Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, those guys just don't really separate anymore at this point of their career. But now that I'm looking at it, if there's a dark horse in this whole thing, Brandon Cooks is kind of interesting. Like if he's out there as you're getting closer to the season and they really don't like what they have at the position to fill those roles, I think Cooks still has some juice. Like that's what he's been throughout his entire career. His big controversial play with the Bills last year was him winning a go route, late. Yeah. So that, he's still at least got that vertical element to his game. So that's pretty interesting. But I don't think they'll spend too much money remaining in free agency. If they do, it might be like edge. It's just hard. It's just hard for me to believe they're satisfied with what they've got there.
Yeah, it's the edge thing is so interesting, and I've been talking about it so much. Again, joined by Jake Arthur of Locked On Colts. Like, I really like a lot of what they have on defense. I really like defensive tackle. I feel really good about between Buckner and Stewart and Wooden. I know I heard you and Zach talking about maybe DeForest Buckner plays a little more edge this year, just as he's kind of getting a little bit older. That'll obviously impact things if that happens. But I like what they have at linebacker. Obviously, the secondary, I think everyone has really high hopes for. And it's like, man, if Latu can just take like another step forward, and if Jalen Tuimoloau can just not be a zero like he was last year, then this could be like a really, really good defense. What are the chances what do you think of, let me back up. What do you think is the likelihood Leatu Latu comes back and finally looks like the guy everybody hoped he'd be when they saw the video of Chris Ballard giggling, saying we got the best effing pass rusher in the draft?
I mean, I think it's likely that he takes another step, and he's been kind of riding a razor's edge of being a 10-sack guy already. His problem has just been finishing, and he gets to the quarterback quite often. It's just how quickly he gets there. But part of the problem is he's never had anyone on the opposite side of the line to take that pressure off of him. We all got really excited, really the first 2 years of his career, thinking about this DeForest Buckner, Latu combo rush package, But Latu he wasn't really a full-time player as a rookie. And then Buckner had that stint on IR with the ankle injury. And then Buckner missed most of like the last half of last year with the neck issues. So we have not really seen that come to fruition. But they need someone else to take some attention off Latu because he does face a decent amount of chips and things like that from extra blockers. But I do think he'll be more productive. I think we'll get a lot closer to that 10 sacks that everyone's looking for from him. It's just that there's so much about it that, like, can teams just key on him? Do they know he's the only threat, and then they just pool all their resources to stop him? That's why they really need somebody else to take attention off of him. And I mean, Jalen Tuamaloau is, I guess, penciled in as the starter on the strong side, just because he's the most fitting. But Arden Key is your next best pass rusher. So if you're looking to put the best guys on the field, your starters might be Latu and Key, but Key really needs to be a rotational guy, like your third pass rusher. So to me, that's why I'm like, there's no way they feel comfortable being done, because if you think about it, they let Quiddy walk, and I feel like they were pretty confident they were going to have Trey Hendrickson. And then so that comes and goes, and he's no longer an option. And you don't go from we're going to Trey Hendrickson to, all right, Tuamaloau, let's do it. You played 200 snaps last year as a rookie with no sacks. Like, it's very hard for me to believe that's where the buck stops, you know?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Again, joined by Jake Arthur of Locked On Colts. You can read him at coltsroundtable.io. So you mentioned earlier when talking about CJ Allen, how they drafted him, you were like, and then you watched him, you're like, okay, like, I really like this guy. That guy for me is Jalen Farmer. I freaking love this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know how much look, he'll play this year because offensive linemen get rolled up on all the time. He's got really long arms. I know he played guard at Kentucky. Usually guys that are that big with that long of arms play tackle. Is there a reason why he didn't play tackle?
Well, those guys that tackle, you know, they have to be a little more on an island. And so you want them to be a little more nimble and fleet of foot and like get really quicker off the snap. And that's not necessarily his game. He's a mauler. Like, he does have the long arms, and he's very, very strong. So he's very well suited for guard. I think the Colts are going to see what it looks like, though. Chris Ballard said, you know, rookie minicamp, OTAs, all that stuff, they'll keep him inside, see what that looks like. But when training camp gets here, they'll probably get him the occasional rep at tackle. So I'm very curious about that, because Farmer, just like you said, as I look more into him, I'm like, oh, this guy's a big X factor. Like, just if he looks good this summer, then he's very consequential for a lot of different areas, because it's like you're not really looking to upgrade over Matt Gonzalez at right guard. But if this guy's clearly the better player, is he your new right guard? And then Gonzalez is either your new swing tackle or your new right tackle, which moves Jalen Travis somewhere else. And I think it even affects center, not him directly, but if he's like your main guard, then maybe Dalton Tucker is your backup center, which you don't have really a backup center right now. So if Farmer looks good, I think it's going to solve multiple problems for the line.
He's your, Zach Hicks, your co-host. He posted a clip this morning of him just like, this defensive tackle comes off the football, and Farmer's just like, you just stop right there, man.
Exactly. He's stout. He's really strong.
He's fast. He ran a 4.93. That's just insane. And
some of the Colts liking these mammoths with good athleticism. I don't know.
It works. Shout out to Tony
Sperano.
What's his last? Sperano. Thank you.
Yep.
Shout out to him, man. He's such an important piece for the Colts, the way that he's able to coach up these offensive linemen. I'm really interested to see kind of what is happening with Bryce Betcher as well. He's a guy who seems like a special teamer, played special teams every year at Oregon when he was there. The Colts, look, they're going to play a lot of nickel. They're not going to have three linebackers out there very often. Any chance, though, that when they do go three linebackers, that he's the third guy?
So I think his baseline role is as a core special teamer. Again, like you mentioned, he's been that throughout his career at Oregon. But I do think they're going to allow him and Akeem Davis-Gaither to kind of battle it out to be the starting will. Okay. Now, Betcher is much better in coverage than he is against the run, especially if you consider the Mike position. In the NFL, I wouldn't really have him play Mike very much. You're putting him too much into traffic, and he'll get kind of caught up in the wash a little bit. Yeah. So I would just look at him as a will, let him use his athleticism and range to just fly around, chase, and make tackles. I think he fits really well there. So, I mean, he's a real tenacious player too. It's not like he's weak. Like, he's always going to come with 11 out of 10 aggressiveness. So the Colts may really like that and think he's got a higher ceiling than Davis Gaither. But if he comes in any like sub packages or bonus stuff, it might be nickel. Like when you go to the nickel, Zach and I actually talked about this on yesterday's show. You probably switch it to CJ Allen and Bryce Betcher on like obvious passing downs. If it's like 3rd and 7 or something, you make it CJ Allen and Bryce Betcher. Early downs, maybe it's Allen and Akeem Davis Gaither. And then when you're in dime, you bring in Hunter Wooler or something. So I do think there's going to be room for all those guys to participate. Betcher's is just going to depend on whether or not he beats Davis Gaither outright for the will roll, or if they just want him like on passing downs.
Okay. He's just, I liked watching him at Oregon, just a tackling machine. You can see the walk-on in him.
Yeah.
You can see the walk-on in him, man. He just plays so hard. He's a little undersized, but it doesn't matter. He's a lot of fun. So last thing for you, Jake, and I will let you go. I've talked about this a little bit today. I think there's a real possibility that the Colts finish last in the AFC South. I just like if Cam Ward takes a step forward and Robert Saleh is as good of a coach as I think that he is, and the Jags, they had a bad draft. I think they lose Etienne. We'll see kind of how they look. But like I think Houston's going to be awesome. Like they may give up 0 points all year. That defense is going to be insane.
Yeah.
How do you kind of feel about the Colts going into the year? I feel like this is another like 7-10 to 9-8 kind of season.
Yeah, I still put them as a team that's closer to being around 500, about 9-8 or so right now. I think we need to know what the offense looks like with Daniel Jones. 'Cause like I think he'll be a capable passer, and like they'll still be able to use him on bootlegs and stuff. But it's like, how explosive is he going to be? Probably not very. And I would like them to wise up to that fact and use him for what he is rather than what he was last year, you know, because I think he could still be a successful passer if you're just under the understanding that he's not going to look the same with his mobility. But yeah, I mean, you still have Jonathan Taylor. I think Alec Pierce being more involved in the passing game is only a good thing. Same thing with Josh Downs and Tyler Warren. Those 3 guys getting more targets can only be beneficial, really. A lot depends on that. And then the defense, I think health is just so paramount. Like the defense was on the field a lot last year, you know, which affects a lot of things. So if you got Sauce Gardner staying healthy and Mooney Ward staying healthy, I think that also helps the pass rush, which you and I are both a bit skeptical of.
Yeah.
Linebacker, I think, should definitely be an upgrade. Like there were times where the linebacking situation was just awful last year. They rarely created big plays, and like they were always playing catch up over the middle of the field in coverage, and it was just ugly. I think the coverage definitely improves. I think the speed there definitely improves. I'd be willing to give them, you know, currently, you know, 9-8, 10-7. I do still put them ahead of Tennessee, just because I think Tennessee is still like a year or so from being legit. I think there's a lot they have to do. And I always find myself never being a believer in Jacksonville. Like I will always think they're fool's gold for some reason. Like I even like Liam Cohen, and I don't know, like there's just something about them I never trust. I don't know. And like their draft really was terrible, man. Like I get being convicted in the guys you like and taking them where they are, but like that just means you're leaving much better players there on the board. And like, I didn't think anybody else on earth was as big of a Nate Bokercher fan as me. And they took him in the 2nd round. And I was like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. Like,
that's
and
hilarious.
there's just stuff like that. Like, that's great that you love Nate Bokercher, but like, who else was there that's way better?
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's about how good players are, not how well they fit. You know what I mean? Like, just go get good players and bring them into your system. Like you don't have to just circle these guys a month before the draft to be like, no matter what, we're getting him. You know, like I looked at someone's grades of Jacksonville's draft today, and it was like all Fs except for like 2 guys. I was like, that's probably accurate.
Yeah, not great. I lied.
Yeah.
Last thing here. I think this is the most underrated thing kind of going into training camp. Jonathan Taylor's going to be 27. He's had he's had like 1,700 total touches for his career. We need a backup running back. DJ Giddens, only appeared in 9 games last year, less than 100 rushing yards. They took the kid out of Kentucky in the 7th round.
Yeah.
What do you think backup running back looks like going into the year?
I'm a bit skeptical. Just like first and foremost, neither of those guys has a special teams background, and that's the only way you're going to get on the field and be active on game days. So I don't know what the Colts' plan is there. Like Tyler Goodson was always active because he was also the gunner on the punt team.
Yeah.
DJ Giddens did not do special teams in college or last year, and Seth McGowan barely played special teams at all in his like 5-6 year college career. So one of those guys is going to have to step up and prove they can play special teams and play and prove that they're not going to be a detriment on passing downs, like in pass protection. If one of those guys can step up and do that, then I think they'll be fine. I'm a little more inclined to believe in McGowan just because I think he's a more aggressive runner. And patient runners like Giddens is a very patient runner who has kind of subtle agility between the tackles. I think it takes longer for those guys to be able to show that because finding a comfort level in the NFL for running back takes a little bit, and developing the vision with the speed of the game versus what it was in college is just different. McGowan is a lot more business, like just a more violent, get to the point type of runner. So I would maybe give the edge to him initially. Just again, he's just a more aggressive runner that's probably going to find the tough yards and gut those out a little easier than Giddens does. But I don't want to throw in the towel on Giddens. Like I was kind of high on him last year. Like I like his running style if he finds a comfort level and some good blocking. But for what their situation is right now, McGowan is probably the more ready runner.
Okay, sounds good. Jake, thanks for your time, man. I really
Of course.
appreciate it. Any articles coming out? I know you said you and Zach did an episode yesterday.
Mhm.
What's all that kind of looking like right now?
Yeah, so we just finished up talking about like our offensive review and defensive review post draft. We're going to get into some new stuff next week. Zach has been doing some really long form film study on. He did like an hour long thing on CJ Allen the other day, and then the AJ Halsey one dropped yesterday. It was like 42 minutes. Right now, I'm catching up on doing like my personal just gut reaction grades to some of these guys. I'm kind of pouring out my whole scouting report, pre-draft scouting report on these guys as well. Just finished the Halsey one right before we hopped on here. So if you guys look for my social media in like 5 minutes, you'll see that coming through.
Sounds good. Jake, thanks for your time, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
See ya. That is Jake Arthur. Follow him on X at Jake Arthur NFL. Does a great job covering the Colts. We will talk more Colts when we come back here in about 3 minutes. Life can feel overwhelming, and sometimes all your body needs is a quiet moment in a cozy, calming place. Salty Woods in Greenwood offers salt therapy, also known as Halo Therapy, a natural, drug-free wellness practice that mimics the microclimate of salt caves. We've got a special deal for you only while they last, starting Friday at 9 a.m. Go to Indies, or today, right now, go to IndieSportsTicket.com and click on the Sweet Deals tab to get 2 seats in the Salt Room for half off. That is a $70 value, yours for just $35.
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Hour number 3 is underway. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching the show on X, _ Jonathan Smith, to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM if you're driving through the Indianapolis area. Big thanks to Jake Arthur for taking about 20 minutes with us in that last segment to talk Colts and the draft and everything being over. And I just, the Colts, man, I need a break from talking about them. We'll talk about them again here in like 10 minutes. I need a minute. I do want to talk about something that happened in college basketball a couple of days ago. That's a really big deal, or I think it's a really big deal. Duke and Amazon Prime have come to an agreement where Amazon Prime is going to, show 3 of their games this year. It's 3 of the bigger ones. And this is a big deal because, this is going to propel Duke to new heights. Okay? And it's not just because, they're playing on Amazon Prime 3 times, right? That's not a big deal. The big deal is that with this, Amazon is offering NIL deals to the Duke players. It's part of why Duke got everybody that they wanted. I mean, the pockets are fat over there in North Carolina when it comes to Duke basketball. And their roster, it's insane. They're going to be a powerhouse for the 3rd year in a row. And this deal is only going to add to that. And it's simply the advantage of being a big brand. Duke is the single biggest brand in college basketball. If you're a Kentucky fan, shut up. I don't want to hear about it. When you have that, it's a lot easier to get a deal with Amazon. 50 years ago in, 1976, it's probably Indiana landing this deal, right, during that time. And what I'm curious to know, and what I think is really important here, are we going to see other brands start doing this? Is there a team that Netflix would strike a deal with? Because college basketball, it's hot right now. I don't think it's as hot as what everybody thinks that it is. Most people are paying attention in March as opposed to November, December, January, and February. But would Netflix strike a deal with Kentucky? Would they strike a deal with Indiana? Will Fubo come out and sign some random team to a deal like this? Will Apple TV do it? Because when you look at the large picture of valuable things in TV, rights to live sports is at the top. So many people tune in. There is so much money in it. And look, the streamers are really annoying until Netflix wants to give your basketball team $10 million. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, love Netflix. Glad that they raised their prices again. Can't wait to go home and watch Ozark for the 4th time, right? So it's just a fascinating thing. And the deeper and deeper we get into this NIL stuff, the more deals I think that we're going to see like this with these larger brands having kind of these spot deals with an NIL promise coming with it. So very intrigued to kind of see if we see anybody else, again, Netflix, Apple TV, Hulu, Paramount Plus, whoever, come out and find a way to strike a similar deal with one of these teams. The other thing going on right now for the Colts was some of the least surprising news ever. Anthony Richardson's 5th-year option. Anthony Richardson's 5th-year option will not be picked up. It is not surprising at all. Seriously, there's nothing that would have been easier to predict in this. As soon as they brought in Daniel Jones to compete for the job with Anthony Richardson, because I don't think it was ever really a competition at all. You knew it was over for him here. The only question now is, will the Indianapolis Colts be able to trade Anthony Richardson for a 7th-round pick before he becomes a free agent? I'm intrigued to see if Anthony Richardson shows up to training camp, because he wasn't there around draft time when they were doing all the voluntary stuff. So very intrigued to kind of see what the rest of his year looks like. If not, I think the Colts are fine with Riley Leonard being their QB2. Let's be honest. When Riley Leonard's your QB2, it doesn't really matter who your second quarterback is. If, and hopefully it doesn't happen, if Daniel Jones gets hurt this year, like that'll be the end of the Colts season, and that'll kind of be that. So Anthony Richardson. On the bright side, Anthony Richardson can still dunk a basketball. So he's got that. He's got that going for him. And I don't even know who would want him at this point. It seems like every team that like could have been interested went ahead and drafted a guy in the NFL draft. Again, Minnesota's got McCarthy kind of as their hopeful backup. The Cardinals went and drafted Carson Beck. The Steelers went and got Drew Aller. He may actually start for them this year, which is kind of insane depending on what Aaron Rodgers winds up doing up there. So every team that could have been interested, the Rams went and got Ty Simpson. I still can't believe that they did that. Every team that could have been a place for him opted out, and certainly Anthony Richardson's agent knows that. Certainly Anthony Richardson knows that. And ultimately, the only way to build trade value for yourself is to go play. Go play all 3 preseason games. Be awesome. Throw a 75-yard touchdown pass where the ball doesn't touch the ground. And, if you really want out of Indy, that is your fastest way out. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to sit at home all year, get fined. You're a freaking rookie. You're not making that much money. You're going to get fined for not showing up. And then at the end of it, you're going to have to wait till free agency. So show up, do your part, do a good job, learn, and then move on. Ross, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. What's up?
Good. I think Richardson will get traded before I find where I'm trying to get to out here in the sticks today.
Okay.
So, I had a few takes I wanted to get from you. I've been thinking of a couple of them for today, and then there was a third one I added based on your segment about the playoffs before Jake Arthur.
Yeah.
I think it was the day. I want to say it was the day after the Magic and the Hornets played in the play-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I remembering that right?
Yes.
Okay, and I asked you if you would trade the top 4 pick if we get that for Ben Caro and like swap first or whatever. Has his play to this point, like, would you answer differently than you did then? Like,
yeah, I would. I love Paulo. I loved him coming out of Duke. I think he would be awesome. Yeah, yes, I have changed my mind. Absolutely.
Because he's like he'll be an unrestricted free agent. Is that right?
Yeah, his deals should be coming up here soon. I'm trying to think. He hasn't made all NBA or anything like that, so he wouldn't be quite as expensive as some of these other guys. But the question is going to be the money. But like, throw that out the window. I think he would be great alongside Tyrese.
Yeah, like I don't know who. I thought his deal was. I don't know. He 2022 or 3. He was in the Matherin draft, so I don't remember when that was. But I thought all those guys were like their rookie deal was coming due after this season.
Yeah,
so
it
hopefully.
is. You're right. Yeah.
So, I know Carlisle, when he was interviewed about the lottery and all that, he's like, well, we have plans in place to get a guy if we don't get one of those. So, I mean, you would think that if we can make it work financially, that could be a guy maybe we could just go sign or something, who knows?
Yeah.
Sticking with basketball, I don't know, 2-part question on this one. Do you think the Nuggets window is closed or almost closed? And same question, but if we get a top 4 pick, is there any feasible package you could imagine like they would take for Jokic?
Oh man. I don't
like, I know he says I want to retire there and so on, but I'd throw the farm at him, like, besides Tyrese and
yeah. I don't think that they would move Jokic. He's I mean, unless they hired Nico Harrison in like the last week, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Right. What about Giannis? Same thing.
Giannis is going to go
would he
somewhere.
be worth it?
I mean, he'd be worth it.
Yeah.
I'd throw the farm at him as well. I just, again, like you run it into the money thing. They'd probably have to send back like Siakam and a couple other guys as well to be able to do that. Because
Right.
he is going to move this year. The question is really more so where and when. In terms of the Nuggets window being closed, I hate it, but yeah, it's probably closed just because I think one, I didn't think that they were quite athletic enough to keep up with Minnesota in the series. The other issue is while Jokic is their best player, Aaron Gordon's really important for them. And this is, two playoffs in a row now where he's been unreliable in terms of his durability. And so I don't know how you can bet on them when Aaron Gordon is in and out of the lineup as much as he is. The Thunder, surprisingly, owned their 3 first-round picks from like 2027 through 2030.
Yeah.
So rebuilding through the draft is going to be near impossible. So yeah, I would say that their window's probably closed, making
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic the modern day Moses Malone.
Look at how many, you go back a year ago to the Pacers run. I mean, look how many games like a Neesmith probably, I don't know about won for us, but like you wonder if we would have won the game if he hadn't gone off in the fourth or whatever. So I would kind of comp that to like an Aaron Gordon, like your third guy, fourth guy, whatever you want to call him, too. So yeah, we'll definitely see. I guess we got to get the pick first. Last thing I had, back when we were talking about our favorite or our most memorable sports moments, and I think Chris brought up the Harbaugh near touchdown to go to the Super Bowl, all that, back in '95 for the Colts. My buddy always had a theory. I don't know if anybody else really came up with this or thought of this, but he had a theory that had the Colts won that Super Bowl, that we would have kept Harbaugh too long and like not been bad enough to get Peyton Manning, and then eventually would have just been bad after a few years, and maybe like the team would have moved, and there's no new stadium, there's no whatever. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
That's really interesting.
Gone to something.
I've never really even thought about that. That's a good
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I would have to really think about that because I do think that there's truth in like when guys win for you, it is much tougher to move on from them. And so I do think that the idea of like they would have kept Harbaugh too long, I do think that there's a lot of validity to that. So yeah, I think that's certainly a possible thing. I like that theory. That's good.
And if Ballard was the GM, then we would have kept Harbaugh over drafting Luck.
Oh, that's right.
In 2012,
We like our guys,
hanging on. And, yeah. So, man, I hope you have a great time with your family this weekend.
Hey, well, I will, man. I'm really excited. Thanks for the call, Ross.
Yeah, have a good one.
See ya. You too. That is Ross. We love it whenever the Misfits call in. That's a good phone call. He called in. He had takes. He had questions. Love that. Thank you, Ross.
Rack it.
Rack 'em. Yeah. All right. The Colts, the Pacers. We're hitting all of the stops today. All right. When we come back here in about 3 minutes or so, Ross brought up the lottery. We are 6 shows away from the lottery, so we will continue our lottery takes when we come back in about 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM. So many ways to listen, really no excuse not to, as we continue to get you ready for the upcoming NBA Draft Lottery. We have 6 shows until the NBA Draft Lottery. So every show leading up to the lottery, we are having a lottery of our own. We started this yesterday. We're pulling a number between the number 1 and 7. You say, Jonathan, why is it between 1 and 7? Because the Pacers are going to land anywhere between the first pick in the NBA draft to the 7th pick in the NBA draft. And I have a take corresponding with every single number. We did number 7 yesterday. And so basically the idea is on a scale of 1 to 7, how much do I like these things? There's a take corresponding with every number. So yesterday we talked about scrappy point guards. I think that's something that everybody likes and everybody needs more of in their life. Today, the number we pulled, I'll tell you right after the intro. That's good. It's groovy. I like it.
It's good stuff.
It is good stuff, man. The intros are, I like them. You know, that's all that matters. Not really. It's important if you like them too, Chris.
I like them. That one reminds me of when, remember when like Dora the Explorer, whenever she achieved something, the little band would come out. Like, we did it.
We may have to change it. That's
okay. I think of Dora every time you hear that.
So today we drew the number 3. Our take corresponding with the number 3 is about coach speak. I like on a scale of 1 to 7, I would rate coach speak a 3. Now look, if I was a general manager or an owner, then I'd be all about it. I'd be like, coach, starting quarterback, every athlete on my roster, general manager, everybody. I need as much coach speak as possible. I would hire Bill Belichick to come in every year and very simply say, this is how you say we're on to Cincinnati without making everybody upset at you. Because he's the GOAT when it comes to coach speak and many other things as well. So but here's the thing. Like I'm not an owner. I'm not a general manager. I'm a radio host who would like to talk about things other than Chris Ballard said we like our guys again. I would like them to say something a little bit more than that. I would have loved it if Mike Vrabel had just come out and said, I slept with Diana Rossini, it was awesome, and the playlist she made me sucked, and then walked off. That would have been awesome. That would have been way more fun to talk about than for us all to sit here and be like, you're not sorry. You're just sorry you got caught, or whatever it ended up being. That would be way more entertaining. That is way better than the whole, I feel bad for me, all that kind of stuff that you get when coaches do the coach speak thing. So, I mean, just insane stuff there. I mean, come on. Just give us like a little bit of spice. Nick Saban was great at it. Nick Saban would say nothing, but still like give you something. He would tell a story. He would make like a really good point for you to go and talk about and so on. So, coach speak, I don't like it, but there are definitely other things in sports that I hate more than coach speak. I mean, the bottom 2 I'm very excited to talk about because I think we'll get some good calls on it. But, you'll have to come back on Monday to see if we spin a 1 or a 2. All right. The Indianapolis Colts, just 9-8. Get ready for it. There's really only 4 teams in the NFL that I would be stunned if the Colts weren't better than them. And those 4 teams are the Miami Dolphins, who tore their roster down to the studs last year, traded everybody away, acquired as many picks as possible. They're going to have a lot of youth playing for them. Malik Willis, who was a backup quarterback last year, he's going to be their starting quarterback this year. The Jets are on this list. Same thing. Traded away a lot of their better players, tore it down to the studs. They're going to have a lot of young guys out there. They're going to have Geno Smith out there, who I still kind of like. We'll see how that goes. The Falcons are on this list as well. I think they're going to be bad defensively again. And I don't believe in Michael Penix or Tua Tagovailoa. With that being said, Kevin Stefanski's a really good head coach. He did take that Atlanta job. So if there's anyone on this list who ends up being better than the Colts this year, it would be Arizona. And then finally, it would be Atlanta. Finally, the last team on the list, the Arizona Cardinals. Very similar to New York and Miami. Tore it down to the studs. They don't have enough good players. The offensive line is in shambles. There's a decent chance Carson Beck is going to be out there taking snaps, which is just insane at quarterback in the NFL. Mind-boggling stuff right there from them. And I think those are the only 4 teams, though, that I can confidently say that the Colts are going to be better than next year. No matter what happens, the Colts should be better than those 4 teams. No doubt about it. They all have a lesser quarterback than the Colts do. I don't think that their rosters are as good. And this is the frustrating thing about the Colts. And it has been this way under Chris Ballard for a decent amount of time now. The roster's not bad. There's a lot to like on the roster. There's a lot of good on this Colts roster. You know, they improved the defense through the draft. The offensive line is going to be good again. You know, edge rusher, I know that's a problem, but, you know, I do think that they have a plan to solve it by bringing somebody in. Maybe Latu comes back a monster. The issue is they just aren't good enough at quarterback again. I mean, if you took, I don't know, like I'm trying to think. What would be the list of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? And where does the list stop where you no longer feel like the Colts are a player or are a playoff team? I mean, obviously, if they had like Mahomes or Burrow, like they're obviously going to be a playoff team because those are 2 guys who elevate everybody. At some point, they'll you know, the Bengals will wise up and give Joe Burrow a starting offensive line. But anyway, like Stafford, the Colts are a playoff team. Josh Allen, the Colts are a playoff team. Drake May, the Colts are a playoff team. Justin Herbert, the Colts are a playoff team. Dak Prescott, been really good the last few years. The Colts are probably a playoff team with him. Trevor Lawrence, maybe. I don't know about that one. Depends on which version of him you get. Sam Darnold, Colts are probably a playoff team. Caleb Williams, the Colts are a playoff team. Jared Goff, the Colts are a playoff team. Lamar Jackson, the Colts are a playoff team. Patrick Mahomes, Colts are a playoff team. Jordan Love, Colts are probably a playoff team. I think after that is where it kind of gets dicey. Baker Mayfield, the Colts are probably a playoff team, I think. Bo Nix, probably. Jalen Hurts, maybe. C.J. Stroud, I think that they would be. And then everything after that is probably not. The issue is they don't have any of those guys. They have Daniel Jones coming off of an Achilles. And I just, that is the single biggest question mark for the Colts. And I'm excited for spring training and those things or for camp, to kind of get rolling so we can see what he looks like. You know, he's throwing, he's doing the rehab thing. Shane Steichen did a little interview where he was like, "Oh, I'm just so proud of Daniel Jones doing his job, rehabbing so he can play this year." I mean, come on, higher standards, please. But that is the single biggest question. We can talk about edge rusher. We can talk about who's going to play wide receiver. We can talk about guys developing. We can talk about this draft class. Great. All those things could work out in the best way possible. It doesn't matter if Daniel Jones isn't ready to go and if he doesn't look like a serviceable NFL quarterback. And until we have an answer to that question, it's going to be really hard for us to know how good the Colts can be and how good they're going to be. So we'll see how it is. I'm going to keep looking through some of these quarterbacks, thinking through, you know, where is the line of where you no longer feel like the Colts could make the playoffs with said quarterback. We'll do more of that in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. Talking about where is the line drawn where you no longer feel like the Colts would be an absolute playoff team once you reached a certain quarterback. Because again, like I like the roster. The roster is not bad. The issue is the quarterback isn't good enough to elevate the roster to a point where they're a playoff team. It's probably around like that CJ Stroud level of quarterback. I don't know. 317-228-1430. That is the number if you want to call in or text the text line. You can also comment on the X or YouTube chats. Chris, where's karaoke at this weekend?
Tomorrow night at the tailgate, South Side. If any of you are interested in coming down to sing, I know C. Fitch wants to come down and sing sometime. This is on the South Side, Stop 11 in Emerson. Tailgate tomorrow night from 9 until 1.
Till 1.
But usually we don't get out till like 3 because we have a fun time and it's a late night.
Okay. So 1-ish.
Yeah.
1-ish. You're done at 1-ish.
There you go.
That's awesome. That's cool. Nah, man. I probably not this weekend.
You should totally come out sometime. Even if you're not going to sing, it's good entertainment. And it's not like a rowdy bar or anything like that. It's like kind of like a restaurant setting with a bar in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get it. Probably not going to sing, but I mean, when Amelia and I went on our cruise, they had like a karaoke competition on board, and we sat through it. We watched the whole thing. It was fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. Man,
Speaking of, what are you doing? I mean, besides running this weekend, it's Best Effort Friday.
Effort Friday.
You got a date for tonight, man? What's you and the wife doing tonight?
So tonight, my mom should get in town here soon. Like when the show's over, I'm sprinting out of here. Got to beat her home. And we are going to, you're supposed to carb load the night before a race.
Sure.
So we're going to Vito Provolone's.
Very
Freaking
nice.
love that place, man.
Very nice.
I was like, I'll be honest. If you had said, Jonathan, if you run the Indy Mini, we'll go get Vito's the night before, I'll sign up and run it again. I mean, that place is. We went 2 weeks ago, and I was like, we're going again in 2 weeks. I can't freaking wait. I love that place. And so we'll go there tonight with my mom. It'll be good, and then we'll go home and we will go to bed. I have a really good friend. His name's Robbie. Love him to death. He's the most positive person you'll ever meet. Okay? Robbie is also running the Indy Mini. He's ran it before, and he was like, Jonathan, park in this parking garage. It's great. Like when you get there, you walk across the street and like you're on the starting line. I was like, great. So you can like buy parking spots in advance. So I did that, and I see him on Wednesday night, and he tells me, oh, Jonathan, like they closed the road around this parking lot, so you have to get there before they close the road. They closed the road at 5:30 in the morning. So I'm going to bed early tonight.
So you're still going after it then, after that spot?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, good luck,
dude,
man.
I'm cheap, man. I as soon as I buy something, I'm gonna use it.
Not mad at you.
That's just how I am.
How much did you pay for parking last night for the comedy show? Just random.
We spent $25 on parking.
See,
between the two of us.
There's an app called Spot Hero for future reference.
Yeah,
$8.
I've got it
for me.
Okay, that's good to know. We're gonna file that away. So yeah, so we'll do that. We'll run the 13.3 miles because it's for some reason they're like 13.1 is just not far enough. We can't move the finish line up 0.2 miles. So, have fun. And then after that, one of my best friends, he gets married. I can't go to the Indy 500 this year because his wedding is on the day of the Indy 500.
You have a wedding every other week.
I know. I have a lot of weddings. And he's getting married on May 24th. And so his bachelor party's this weekend.
Nice.
So I'm going to finish the race. I'm going to go home. I'm not even going to change. I'm grabbing my old baseball glove, and then I'm driving to Avon where we're doing all these different sports things. So I'm gonna run the mini, and then I'm gonna go play like full court basketball, and we're playing 7-on-7 football as well apparently.
So you have like a triathlon to do tomorrow.
Seriously, yeah, that's exactly what I have. That's exactly what I have to do tomorrow, and it's gonna be fun. After that, we'll go back and we'll play. I think we'll do all like the normal bachelor party stuff. We'll go play poker and we'll go out to dinner and do all that. So
there you go.
Very busy day tomorrow, but it'll be good. I don't know, man. I'm so caught up on the Indy Mini. I haven't even thought about how I feel about going to the bachelor party afterwards.
One thing at a time.
No.
And the 500 might be shortened this year to like 200 miles because of the gas prices. Just kidding. That was stupid.
No, that was funny. That was really funny. I gotta get. That's how I know I'm old now. I got in the car with my buddy last night. That's all we talked about. We talked about gas prices the whole way, and geez, man, I'm just $5 is absurd.
That's pretty wild. You're not getting very far on that, but I digress, man. If you gotta go, you gotta go, right?
That's exactly right. If you have to race around the Indy 500 track, I mean, you kind of have to.
I mean, like, how much? I'm interested in finding out how much fuel they use. Although it's kind of like ethanol, right? It's not like gasoline. It's a different type.
They
of
have
fuel.
a different kind of fuel. I do know. If anyone has that's actually a great question.
The price on that is probably different.
I know a guy that I could actually probably ask. He's worked for different pit crews and he builds race cars. What's his name? I haven't talked to him in forever, but he would answer. I don't remember.
Because I know they were talking a couple of weeks ago about adjusting the stage length for NASCAR races because of the fuel differences and whatnot.
Really?
But I couldn't tell a difference watching Talladega last weekend. It seemed the same to me. But that doesn't mean that they're not trying to save fuel somewhere or cut costs somewhere either.
Let me ask him real quick. How much gasoline do the Indy 500 cars use during the race? I'm curious. That's a fascinating question. Oh, wait.
Dude, I'm glad that you guys can afford to go out there and drive 500 miles and just burn off however much that costs. I can't imagine.
That's a great, and because I'm sure that their fuel is more expensive as well. And so that's a fascinating question. I'm hoping my guy Matt gets back to me. Because like I said, that's a great question. He's probably putting some engine on something right now. So we'll see if he gets back to me or not. But yeah, are you going to the 500 this year?
I don't think so, but yeah, still interested in it. I'll probably watch it on TV, but
is it on Fox again this year?
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, hey man, I don't know. I'm not gonna watch it because I'll be at a wedding.
Of course you will.
Yeah, you know how it is, man. Let's see here. Do we have an answer to these questions? Indy 500 cars apparently use 100% renewable race fuel developed by Shell, introduced in 2023. The sustainable fuel is a blend of second-generation ethanol derived from sugarcane waste and other bio-based components, replacing the previous E85 mix. So each car burns approximately 125 gallons of fuel during the 500-mile race.
Okay. Well, there's our answer.
Each car, okay. Did he send it twice? Whoever sent this text, thank you so much.
If it's on the text line, it was from Ross. But I don't know what you're looking at.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a couple different people who hit it up. Anyway, someone else asked, who takes over the show on Monday when you're out for middle-aged soreness? My guy, I'm 26. I'm going to be ready to go on Monday. All right, my feet may hurt. It was Ross. Ross, thank you. My feet may hurt. I'm really more concerned about my back than anything else, because that is usually what hurts whenever I run. Because I don't know why that is, but that's just usually what happens. And so I'm more concerned about that than anything. But hey, man, is there a plug-in over here? There is. If I need to bring the heating pad in with me and do the show with the heating pad on, I'll do it. You know, whatever it takes for me to be here. So yeah, I'm like I said, I'm excited. I am hoping. I don't know, if I can run it in under 2.5 hours, I'm gonna be really proud of myself. I'll be surprised if I hit that goal, but that would mean everything went well. That would mean that like my back felt good, and my favorite thing about the race by far, super flat.
I'm sorry, what?
That's my favorite thing. The race is flat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Like I'm not running uphill. I'm not running downhill. We're staying on a nice little level course. Apparently, the Indianapolis Marathon is a very popular course that people run to qualify for Boston because it's so flat. So fun fact for you. So yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm not nervous. I may sprint it just to get it over with. That's what I tell myself whenever I'm running. John Buzzard's chiming in saying he would rather have a sleepover with Lorena Bobbitt than run a marathon.
I would agree with that.
Marathon or half marathon?
Man, no marathon. Dude, I would like the whole heating pad and soreness and everything comes from just running across the street, let alone whatever you're running, however miles or whatever.
You trained for it though. Like if you trained for it, like you would be fine.
Then I would probably do the smaller of the option.
The mini. Cut it in half.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, right now though, what is the cutoff for okay, I would run that far, then have a sleepover with Lorena Bobbitt?
I don't know. I'd probably pick the Lorena Bobbitt thing because I don't feel like running anywhere. I might speed walk.
So you would rather do a sleepover with Lorena Bobbitt than run 1 mile?
Probably, yeah.
Really? Half a mile.
I don't
half
run.
A mile.
I will speed walk. If I'm allowed to speed walk, then I'll do that. But if I have to run, then I'll probably take the ladder.
I was doing some reading yesterday, and I came across this thread, and people were talking about how they have friends who wake up in the morning and go run with with nothing tracking like how far they're running or how long they've been running. They just run for as long as they can, and then they go home. I'm like, that is absurd to me.
More power to them. I mean, to each their own. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not for me. You know what I mean?
I couldn't imagine. IU fan 71 saying, Jonathan, could you beat Gritty in a marathon? Gritty, Gritty, are you running the mini? Gritty, if you're running the mini, let me know. If not, what was your time on the last mini? I would like to think that I could. With that being said, my mom, she's coming into town. She's running it as well. Her goal is to break 2 hours, and I won't say how old she is, but she's old enough to be my mom. So there you go.
There you go. Good choice.
Yeah, and yeah. And so I don't know. It's very possible that Gritty would beat me. The ego that I have wants to say absolutely not, but it's a real possibility. I won't, I'm an honest guy. We talk about it on the show all the time. Being self-aware is important. I think I'm self-aware enough to say it's definitely possible that Gritty could beat me in if we were running a marathon. That's funny. I've thought about. There's a guy on TikTok. His whole bit last year was he's a Bears fan, and for every Bears loss, he would run a mile for like how much they lost by. So if they lost by 10, he would go run 10 miles.
Now that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought about doing it for our TikTok page, and then I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, you know what, I'm good. Pass.
So if they get blown out by like 40 something, he would go run 40 plus miles.
Yeah, the Bears were good last year. It was a great year to do it.
With your race tomorrow, if you win or you finish in the top 5, what's like the prize? Do you get anything for like finishing in the top like percentage, or is it just like an personal accomplishment thing?
This is actually, I'm glad you asked that question. So my mom has run several marathons and things, and whenever my grandma sees her, she basically looks at her and says, do you really think you're going to be able to win? Because like the point of a half marathon and these kinds of things, it's not to win. It's really just to say that you did it. And like, and you set like personal goals. It's very similar to golf. Like there is a competitive aspect of golf, but sometimes you go out and it's like, you know what? I've never broken 90. So the goal for me now is just to break 90.
I see.
And so running is very similar. It's like I've never ran a 2-hour half marathon. So this weekend, my goal is to run a 2-hour half marathon. Very, very similar idea of like, yes, you are kind of competing against other people, but really you're competing against yourself in a lot of ways.
I get it. Okay.
So
So if I was to enter, it would just be like, all right, let's finish this thing without a heart attack.
that's
or
my
something.
goal. My goal legitimately, finish.
Yeah.
If I do it in under 2.5 hours, great. But I just want to finish and I want to get my medal and go home.
I got you. Well,
That's
good
it.
luck, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll have stories about it on Monday, I am sure. That's going to do it here on The Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you so much for tuning in, no matter how you tuned in. If you want to go subscribe to us on YouTube, Indie Sports Tickets, you can find us pretty quickly that way. You can follow me on X__Jonathan Smith. I hope you have a great weekend. We will be back Monday from noon to 3 talking Indy Mini, Colts, Pacers, and all the other craziness going on in the sports world.
And we'll have holiday World tickets.
Holiday
to
World
give away.
tickets.
So
That means
tune
we're
in for
playing
that.
games on Monday. Let's
Playing
go.
games. All right.
You know you want to tune in. All right, we will see y'all on Monday.